Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia. Blessings on him who comes in the name of the Lord. Blessings on the coming kingdom of our Father David. The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. The people stayed there before the cross, watching Jesus. As for the leaders, they jeered at him. He saved others, they said. Let him save himself, if he is the Christ of God, the chosen one. The soldiers mocked him too. And when they approached to offer him vinegar, they said, "If you are the king of the Jews, save yourself." Above him there was an inscription, "This is the King of the Jews." One of the criminals hanging there abused him. "Are you not the Christ?" he said. "Save yourself and save us as well." But the other spoke up and rebuked him. "Have you no fear of God at all?" he said. "You got the same sentence as he did, but in our case we deserved it. We are paying for what we did, but this man has done nothing wrong." "Jesus," he said, "remember me when you come into your kingdom." "Indeed, I promise you," he replied, "today you will be with me in paradise." The Gospel of the Lord. This feast at the end of a liturgical year C, the feast of Christ the King, brings together, in synthesis, all the reflections that we have considered during this past year, starting from Advent of last year to today. Next Sunday, we start a new liturgical year. An incident happened last August in Atlanta, Georgia, when a 21-year-old man with a rifle in his hand and 500 rounds of ammunition, he got into a school, slipped through security, and kept hostages 800 children and threatening to kill everybody. Antoinette, tough. She was an accountant at the school. She faced him courageously, and she recorded, she put on the mobile and recorded all the incident that I have today, also luckily the recording of this incident. And she faced this terrorist, this man, and she said, "First of all, what is your name?" And he said, "Michael, and I am going to die today." "Oh no," said Antoinette, "you are too young to die. You have your whole life in front of you. Yes, today is a bad day for you, but you can get over this. You have a lot to live for." "No, I don't," said Michael. "No one ever listens to me." "I am listening to you," she said, "and I am willing to sit here and listen for as long as you want to talk." In the meantime, she phoned 911 to call the police, and she kept the conversation going to calm this young man. Then she shares also her own son. She said her own son has multiple disabilities, and she knows how difficult it is being dependent on medication. Michael said, "I didn't take any medication today. It was He was having psychological disorders. Minute by minute, trust is built between these two unlikely people. When the police arrive, Michael's intention is to make a stand and fight it out. But Antoinette convinces him to do something else. "You don't want to die," said Antoinette. "You want to live. I know that my husband divorced me last year. I too wanted to die, but I got through, and now I have this job, and things are okay. Today is a bad day for you, as it was to me at that time, but it can be a new day for both of us." Step by step, Antoinette is able to have Michael empty his pockets, take off his backpack, and lay face down on the floor with his hands behind his head. They arrest him without incident. No one in the school was hurt. Antoinette saved the lives of 800 people, including her own. But she did so by first saving the life of Michael, this lad, who was considered to be a terrorist, a criminal. There is a remarkable parallel between what Jesus passed through in his last moments on the cross and this incident we have just recorded. Jesus spoke to the thief next to him, who said, "Jesus, forgive me. I have sinned." And Jesus said, promised him, "You will be with me in heaven today." It is the same thing. He was facing this man who was a criminal, and he forgave him all the sins and promised paradise to him. The challenge for us today on this feast of Christ the King is to imitate Christ's redemptive love, to love people for their own sake, not because they love us or because they are worth it or deserve it. No, it's because Christ tells us to do this, as he did it on the cross, who showed his love to that criminal next to him. Common wisdom very often tells us not to love, but to hate, to get vengeance, to get back to people who hurt us. But Christ tells us to go further, loving those who love us. He wants us to love also those who hate us, our enemies, our people who don't have our own views, our same views, or who cause us pain. Even those we need to love and forgive. Jesus pushes us, each one of us, to broaden our life, to love those we do not know, even our enemies. We are to love in this way, not because people deserve it, but not because we expect to be loved back, but because of love itself that Christ shows to us. And we have examples of Saint Francis of Assisi, who loved the universe, who loved creation, who loved even animals, and Mother Teresa of Calcutta, who loved those people dying in the streets. This is the love that we are asked to do on this feast. This is the love of the person that Antoinette shows in this incident that we have just heard and know about. Let's read this prayer we have on the screens. Gracious Father, may I daily experience the reality of your kingdom, which is within me. May I, with your grace, make your kingdom come here where I live. I ask you, through the power of your infinite love, to become the Lord and King of my heart. Amen.